Hi, welcome back to the Real Family Reviews podcast, formerly known as D&D Reviews. I'm the daughter.
And I'm the dad.
And grab your mistletoe, any Christmas things, because we are actually doing a very special, kind of first, special edition of the podcast. Obviously, we do reviews, reactions, but today we are doing all about Christmas. First of all, Merry Christmas. This should be going out on Christmas Day, so hopefully, if you celebrate, Merry Christmas. And basically what we're going to be doing in this episode is that I actually made this brief of everything that we're going to be talking about. We recently watched Silent Night, Deadly Night, the 2025 remake version of it. And we were going to just do a review of it, but then we also wanted to do a Christmas episode. So we thought, we'll do a Christmas episode and then review Silent Night, Deadly Night in the final 10 minutes. We'll just say our thoughts on it and all these things, because we didn't feel like it warranted a longer review.
It didn't deserve.
It would be nice to just do a Christmas special, upload it for you guys. Merry Christmas. As you can see, we're dressed up for the occasion. And I'm going to be going through and we're going to be playing some games and just having kind of a Christmas fun time. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. And
we're doing it from a different spot as well.
Yes, you're right. We're back because it's over the holidays now. I came back home and this is the room that obviously we're not usually in, or in a different place, which is why it looks kind of dead back there. We were saying it, but we dressed up, so hopefully that makes up for the background that looks very, what did you say, prison cell?
It's not broken up. But also, there are other people here, so you may hear the occasional bit of background.
There are people in the other room.
noise.
Usually when we record our podcast, we plan it around a time people aren't going to be there, but this time around there are people, so yeah, I guess just keep that in mind while you're watching that. You might hear someone, but hopefully you guys enjoy it, and we're just gonna kind of get on with it. So first of all, what I wanted to do is I really wanted to talk about the history of Christmas movies as a beginning, like how they started, where they've kind of come from, and all these things. So I'd love to know what do you remember being the first Christmas movie you ever watched?
Gosh, I think the one that I remember that I enjoy is the musical of the Charles Dickens
Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
That is,
because I do like musicals. I remember being a child and watching that and really, really enjoying it. But for me, Christmas movies aren't necessarily about Christmas, because there are certainly in England, I don't know about America, but there are films that they play like Bruce Willis in Die Hard is a Christmas. It's somehow become a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But things like Zulu, the film Zulu, that was on not just Christmas, but on Easter and whatever. Whenever that was a film they would put on. But for Christmas, Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol, the musical version of it is. When I will sit down and watch that, And I'm not a great person for Christmas at all, but that for me
is like the first one.
Is the first one, yeah. But I know it goes back.
Yeah, well, so I actually have here, I did a little bit of research, and actually the first ever Christmas movie was called Santa Claus, which was released in 1898.
Wow.
Which is a silent film which depicted Saint Nick delivering presents to a family, marking the beginning of Christmas-themed cinema. So it's a silent film. Obviously, back then, cinema as a whole was silent. Actually, Babylon did it well, the movie with Brad Pitt, where it's about Hollywood stars set in the 1910s, where they transition into, and a lot of those actors, which actually did happen in real life, ended up not being able to be actors after that because their voices, it was
they were huge in silent films.
We've always, if you're in film school, you know anything film related. I'm in film school, and I tell you sometimes we learn all about history of cinema, and it is interesting to even go back to the silent era where it's like a lot of those actors didn't transition over well. And it's actually funny enough that the first ever one, obviously because it's 1898, it's bound to be a silent film, but it's a silent film, and that was the first ever technical Christmas movie, which I think is really interesting.
Well, as you say in Babylon, it's interesting. Brad Pitt's character, who's this huge silent movie star, does a talkie, and then he can't understand why people laugh at him.
Yeah.
And when he's talking to a critic, and she goes, "Is it that people laughed? And it isn't you. It's just they didn't know what your voice was." He hasn't got a silly voice.
It's just that
people never
you
imagine.
have such a
You have an idea in your head and then it's different.
Yeah.
You know,
I assume that's the way it is sometimes. You know, people who are like, they have new transplants for deaf people and then they all of a sudden hear and they're like, things sound weird, or people who couldn't smell, things smell different to how you, it's like a whole body adjustment to even realize that with this person you've been watching, which it's really interesting to think about. It's funny actually because we haven't done in film school yet the part where you watch silent movies, but we're going to do it soon. I remember someone saying that when they were in film school, they just watched silent movies just in a silent class, which isn't the way you're supposed to. Back then, you'd watch it with like music playing in the auditorium.
Yeah, somebody would be on the piano.
Yeah, and silent movies aren't silent. They're not supposed to be played in complete silence because it's so awkward otherwise. So.
Well, it's like if you had an exciting build-up, you'd be dun, 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 on the piano.
To add the sound effect of the transition that way, but
which is what we get now, don't we? When people do soundtracks.
Yeah, sure. Like, in a movie, it's not just people speaking. There is sound added to that. Obviously, there's like a whole element of film is sound, and they even have Oscars for best score, best sound, all these things. So, really interesting that silent cinema kind of came over that whole thing of like in the movies you would have a sound playing while you watched it, which then transitioned over to talkies by having the sound not in the cinema physically but on the screen behind the words or the dialogue.
The people who made the film decided on what they would do to build the tension and what have you, or to make it a love scene or whatever. I did notice when we watched One Battle After Another, there are parts in that where it's doom.
Sure, yeah.
It's not loads of music. It's just but you know that they're running around trying to do things, and it's tense. It's really tense. And I noticed that especially the second time I went to see it. Wow, this soundtrack is tense. It builds the tension.
It is a good sound. In that. I mean, that movie's great, but the sound is incredible. But first ever Christmas movie. 1898, and then so you kind of transition into these early Christmas cinema. So It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. You know, you've got these like, which actually wasn't a Christmas hit when it first came out. You know, it wasn't like, I feel like it's like Die Hard, where it's kind of like
what it's built over the years. Yeah,
as kind of having the reputation of that. I think it's just interesting because early Christmas. I mean, this is 1 year after World War II ended, you know, so it's kind of like people. It's interesting to think about though. When I think about Christmas during World Wars, I never even think about it. You know, it feels like Christmas wasn't a thing in World Wars. For some
People
reason.
didn't have the.
Which is actually funny enough in Peter Pan. I remember when I was a kid watching that the second one. I believe it's the second one. There's a part of it that's set over Christmas, and obviously that's set in London, and it's like. The whole town is being like, just because it's set during World War II, but they're still celebrating Christmas. They have like one present, or it's like the Nutcracker like doll. It's homemade presents because obviously at the time it was like.
You're worried about your men who are away, and who are perhaps going to be fighting or are fighting. So it's not like we got a whole family gathered around. Someone's missing, you know. Dad's missing.
Sure, it doesn't feel like a special occasion, but for the children, you still.
So how can you be? Yeah, so it's a mixture of the two things, you know, like trying to be good, trying to keep it light-hearted for the kids.
Well, actually, funny enough, in the research that I did, Christmas movies back then, set in the 1940s and made in the 1940s. Sorry, they had to have three things: redemption, community, and second